Sellers, it's time to get serious. It's been a long ride and a really good one for all of you home sellers out there, I'll admit. But sooner or later, all good things must come to an end, and that includes this amazingly insane seller's market that we've been having. Now don't panic, because I'm not saying that everything's just going to go poof all at once, or even at all, because I still don't think that we're headed for a market crash, at least not here in Ocala. But the market is definitely shifting ever so slowly. But it is shifting, so your expectations as a home seller need to start shifting right along with it, lest you get left behind in the dust. Now the truth is, we all got carried away in the crazy goings-on in the housing market, and a whole lot of sellers, or potential sellers, got the idea that all you had to do to sell was just stick a sign in the yard and wait for all those hungry buyers to start throwing money at you, along with cars, furs, assorted jewelry, and who knows what else. And actually, in some cases, I'm pretty sure that really happened. If a place had a roof and 4 reasonably upright walls, you could pretty much sell it for whatever you cared to ask. But times they are a-changin', as they say. Yeah, it's still a seller's market, but who knows for how long? And the more the Fed raises interest rates, and the more the news cycle keeps screaming about a housing bubble, the more nervous buyers get, and the less home most of them can afford. So prices are not going to keep heading into the stratosphere like a rocket, and we are going to be shifting into a more level playing field. So let's take a look at the local housing stats for May, which will tell us a little bit more about where the local market's heading. Now in April of this year, we had 885 active single-family homes for sale, which was slightly more than we had in March when we had 848 active listings. Now compare that to May, which is the most recent figure we've got, and we have 1,119 homes available for sale. That's quite a jump for only a month. It's still a pretty small supply on the market, but you can see that inventory is rising, which means that buyers have more homes to choose from, which is good for them, but maybe not so good for you as a seller. The closed sales were up just slightly, with 835 closed sales compared to 778 in April. But you got to remember that those sales probably went under contract in March or early April, before the Fed started doing their thing. And I say that because pending sales are also down just a little bit, with 807 pending sales in April, going down to 762 in May. And yeah, those are a bunch of really dry numbers, and you've probably forgotten all of them just about as fast as I spit them out. But the one thing that most every home seller is interested in is the average sales price, and that's also down ever so slightly, from $340,000 and change in April to $333,000 and change in May. Not much of a drop, and probably you're not going to see any major drops in pricing, at least not unless something really catastrophic happens. And my crystal ball's on the fritz, so I'm not going to be any help there. But it is showing a trend away from that really strong seller's market that we've all gotten used to. Now again, I'm not saying that the seller's market is over, but I am saying that it may not last much longer. We're not heading for a buyer's market by any means, but we are heading towards a more even market, and that actually isn't such a bad thing. Now I know that I'm probably going to get a whole lot of comments on this video about how I'm sugarcoating the market, because so many news reports are talking about housing prices heading off a cliff and massive price reductions everywhere. And that may be true in other areas. I can only speak to my market and what I'm seeing here locally. And what I'm seeing here in Marion County is that we still have a strong buyer demand, and we're still low in inventory. We're less low, but we're still pretty darn low. Yeah, we're seeing some price reductions, but honestly, it's mostly on properties that never should have been priced where they were to begin with. Which brings me back to my original point. Sellers, the free ride is over. You're going to have to adjust your thinking just a little bit as the market adjusts. There are probably a few things that you're going to have to do now when you list your home for sale that you really haven't had to do much lately. Things like, actually looking really closely at comps before setting a price for your home. And by recent, I mean the last 30 days or so, 60 days max. And you're going to have to look at what pending sales are doing pretty close too. Really gauge how receptive the market is going to be for your price point. This is the kind of market where real estate agents like me really earn our money, because you have to be paying really close attention to what's going on out there every single day. And if you're selling your home by owner, that goes double for you. Price it right, or you'll still be sitting on the market a month or two from now just wondering what happened. Now, location matters, and the more inventory there is available, the more location is gonna matter. All areas and neighborhoods are not created equal. If you've got a house 40 minutes outside of town, you're probably not going to command the same price for it that you would have if it were 10 minutes outside of town. And in order to get top dollar for your home, you might actually have to do some repairs, preferably before putting your home up for sale, because most buyers don't want to do repairs, and they will still pay a premium for a worry-free home. But if that's not possible, then you got to be prepared to do necessary repairs if the buyer finds issues on the home inspection. With more inventory to choose from, a buyer is going to be a little more reluctant to pay asking price for a home that looked pristine, but turns out to need a significant amount of work after the inspection. I guess what it all boils down to is that as a seller, you're going to have to be a little bit more flexible than you might have needed to be in the past many months. Bidding wars are going to get fewer and fewer, and appraisal cap waivers are pretty much going the way of the dodo bird too. With interest rates and inflation both going up, most buyers just can't afford to cover an appraisal gap right now. And honestly, they probably won't need to worry about it, because they'll just be able to move on to the next house, and that one's going to be priced more appropriately. So overall, if you're thinking about putting your home on the market, just be thoughtful about it. You are still in a great position to get a really good price for your home, but don't wait too long or you might not be. 6 months from now, or even 3 months from now, you probably won't take a big hit in price, but you may not get a dime more than you would right now. And you might actually lose a little, depending on what else happens to the economy as a whole. Now, if you're not ready to sell, that's fine, and you shouldn't rush to sell your home in a panic. Panic is always a bad idea. But if you're waiting to get the absolute best price for your home when it hits the absolute tippy top of the market, well, let's just say I wouldn't recommend it, because we might already be at the tippy top of the market. And we won't know for sure until it starts heading the other way. And then you'll be kicking yourself wondering why you didn't sell sooner. So, if you're thinking about putting your home up for sale, I just happen to know a really great real estate agent who can help. Or, if you just like to pick my brain about the local real estate market in general, I'm always up for a chat. Get in touch and let me know what you need. That's what I'm here for. Or, you can click on the link in the description below to get a copy of my free seller's guide. It's actually got some useful stuff in it. Not as useful as actually talking to me, but hey, whatever works for you. So until next time, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.